So finally, in 2021, I started playing Sekiro, Shadows Die Twice. I'm a huge fan of From Software games and absolutely love the Souls franchise, but found myself a bit too busy with life to indulge in Sekiro upon its release. If you are unaware, Sekiro Shadows Die Twice is the latest game from the developers of the esteemed Dark Souls franchise, and it released in 2019 where it would achieve the highly contended award for Game of the Year. I made a very deliberate choice to stay far away from this title for the last 2 years, as I knew that at some point I would want to experience what it has to offer myself without having that experience tarnished by spoilers and guides for how to most efficiently beat the game or any of its bosses. My goal was to go into this title completely blind as to see if it would provide for me the same charm that Souls games have in the past. I just have to say, this game is In all seriousness though, this is not a review. I've only put a few hours into the game so far, but I have thoroughly enjoyed all of them, and it's a phenomenal experience that shines in gameplay, world building, lore, and aesthetic. There are so many things that From Software does right in Sekiro, and they all tend to blend together in a way that makes all of the basic functions of the game extremely satisfying to execute, whether it's using the stealth mechanic, grappling, parrying, or finishing blows on regular enemies and bosses alike. Not only that, but there are times that after beating a boss or finding a new sculptor's idol and discovering new areas, that I've found myself just meditating and taking in the scenery of the beautiful universe this game portrays. There aren't many games that I've played where I really don't want to stop and make a video. This, however, is definitely one of them. If somebody had a distaste for Souls games, it would be extremely difficult to justify recommending that they try this one. However, there are numerous differences in the mechanics and world of Sekiro that really set it apart from Dark Souls and gives it a very fresh and engaging atmosphere. In typical From Software fashion, you are thrown into this Souls-like rendition of medieval Japan with a story-driven cinematic, cutscenes, and a short, vague, but very intriguing introduction to the world, its lore, and the most basic player mechanics. It then releases you into the open and interconnected level design to explore secrets and adventure into the unknown hostile territory this title has to offer, which certainly lives up to the difficulty bar that has been set by From Software games of the past. The most objectively noticeable thing as I began playing Sekiro was how beautiful the world is. Almost to the point that I had to wonder if gorgeous scenery was going to be a benefit to lackluster performance and development in another area, as is typical in a lot of modern titles, though fortunately not a feature of any From Software games. The spectacular graphics, attention to detail, and astounding level design and unique setting make it an unmatched adventure that I cannot help but recommend to everyone who loves RPG games, regardless of their prior knowledge or lack thereof of From Software's previous titles. Though Sekiro does lack the build, item, fashion, and playstyle variety offered by Dark Souls games, it does still strike an interesting balance of fun and evolving combat gameplay by encouraging a focus on parrying and reducing enemy posture, and while also introducing stealth and eavesdropping mechanics, as well as a prosthetic arm with several different attachable abilities and a grappling hook. As is standard with Souls games, Sekiro offers enemies as well as mini-bosses and bosses with a great variety of types, stature, ability, fighting styles, and more. They require the player to adapt and truly understand the enemy. Hacking and slashing will never be an easy way out, and instead brings a swift death just as quickly as hesitation will. This pushes a player to become an expert in their own combat and movement capabilities, usage of the world design, and the consistent countering of enemy combat and movement. Though few and far between as one would expect, NPC interaction remains a distinct and memorable Souls game staple that carries over masterfully into Sekiro. In regards to NPCs and storytelling, this game is an exceptional example of voice acting done right. It not only adds to the immersion of the game, but it bestows upon it an authenticity that could not otherwise be obtained. Though options for English voice are available, I would highly advocate for sticking to Japanese with English subtitle settings, as others simply pale in comparison. One of the most underrated but vitally important requirements for a game in this genre to set itself apart is its soundtrack. Though Sekiro's theme doesn't allow for the same hard-hitting variety of tracks as Dark Souls and Bloodborne's do, it still provides amazing ambient music and exceptional combat pieces. Sekiro is not a walk in the park. It's one more glorious but trying crucible for those courageous enough to endeavor into its depths. From Software is a developer that continually sets an example for the gaming industry and how to produce quality, intuitive, and groundbreaking titles that deserve an immense amount of praise. Sekiro: Shadows Die Twice is no exception to that rule. I am looking forward to further engaging the challenge this extraordinary game poses, and I cannot wait to see what comes next. Alright, ladies and gentlemen, that's going to be all for this one. If you liked this video, please make sure to drop a like and subscribe. I really appreciate it, and I'll see you in the next one.